Okay, everybody, I'm coming a long way around. I didn't mean to turn this into like an hour and a half thing. I just thought I'd do 20 minutes, but it's not. I've already done an hour at this point. So, I want to go ahead and finish where I wanted to go with this. And I kind of touched on it in the first two videos. The first one I talked about how my buddy does 10 websites to target one keyword, and how he just creates more websites that target more keywords and ends up his owning placement in Google and getting 80% of the sales in that particular genre, because people don't notice that their website's owned by the same person, even though his corporate information is at the bottom of every single one of those websites. When people go, they decide maybe this is what I want, maybe it's not what I want, but they will close that window and go back to Google and look for another listing that's kind of similar to what they're looking for, and then go to that next website, and it's his website. So they're leaving his website, going back to Google and find another website to look at, and then ending up looking at a different website owned by him, and then maybe they'll go back and they'll come back into another website, and it's his again, and it's an 80% chance they're going to buy from him. And in the second phase of it, in the second video, I talked about the guy who uses long copy to sell his books, and he does it for romance books, and he does anywhere 800 to 1,000 words to sell his book using the long copy that I typically use when I sell my products. And so the thing of it is, that long copy approach, the guy who is telling me about it is just crushing it with romance books. And so the thing of it is, we have roughly 4,000 characters to describe our book within Amazon, no formatting allowed, which is a pain in the ass, but whatever, it's their website, they get to choose how things are demonstrated. But once we come to our website, then we can decide how we want to lay out the material. So maybe it makes sense for us to build a website, maybe just one website or 10 websites. Doesn't really matter what we're taking advantage of, as long as Google's crawling our website, we are plugging in keywords that people will be searching for. But the concept of it, I've always taken the approach that we target keywords, but we don't focus on keywords, if that makes sense. So I will sit down with a list of 6 or 10 keywords I want to include in my copy, and then I'll start writing. And I want to write naturally so that whatever people are reading feels natural to them. It's not forced language. I'm not trying to force keywords into my language. I'm trying to convey a story and a message to my readers, and I just happen to use my target keywords while I was doing that. So it seems natural that I've used journal 5 times in my copy, and it makes sense that I said prayer journal, and I said Christian journal, and I said living in Christ. I've done all these things very deliberately, and when you're reading it, it seems to fit. It doesn't seem like I'm forcing keywords that don't belong there. So that's how I do the long copy. So when you build on your website, as long as Google is crawling your website, that's all that really matters. If you want Google to crawl your website, then drop a few links in social media, on Twitter and on Facebook, and link to your website, and Google will find it. And Google puts social media ahead of all the rest. And maybe you go over to Fiverr and you pay somebody $5 to submit your blog post to 30 different Facebook groups. You know, I'm not a big fan of that approach, because there's having a post there and having people interact with your post. So the latter is important to me. It's not the sheer volume of posts that makes the difference for me is people interacting with my content. So having some jackwad at Fiverr submit my thing to 30 groups on Facebook is rather pointless if nobody's reading the damn thing, right? So, and I think, I think Google kind of sees things the same way. They're not interested in seeing a bunch of links to our website. They're interested in finding people who actually recommend and interact with our content, linking to our website. So as far as it goes, I consider it more important to go to a group where you participate regularly and dropping a link, or going to your own timeline and dropping a link. I think that's far more valuable than going to Fiverr and paying somebody $5 to submit to 30 groups that you've never been involved. So that's one thing. It's, to me, it's all about interaction. You want to interact with your customers, not blast out to strangers who don't care, right? So that's the thing. So you have 10 websites out there targeting your keywords. You have different blog posts which are long copy selling your books. So when you do long copy, if it's 800 to 1,000 words or whatever, if you just do that instead of my monster 4,000 words or 3,000 words, that's fine. It's not the word count that matters. It's the effectiveness of the copy. If I could sell you my book in 800 words, I'd prefer to sell you my book in 800 words than 4,000 words. It's about effectiveness. So I use the formula I use because it's effective. And it actually leads people to want to buy my book and to actually buy my book. So that's where I'm drawing the line. So you want to put out as many words. It's sort of like the old saying, and it's kind of a funny tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, but when I've heard it 100 times in my lifetime, but people will ask, well, how many words do I need to write in order to sell my book? And the number of words you write is very much similar to the length of a lady's skirt. It needs to be long enough, it needs to be short enough to attract attention and long enough to cover the essentials, okay? And it's kind of a funny thing to say, but it really is. I'd love short skirts, but you want to cover things up. You want to be a little bit modest about it. So that's what the approach is. You use as many words as necessary to accomplish your goal, and then stop. You want people to buy your books. Once you get them to the buy point, stop. There's no need to go any further. There's no need to beat that dead horse over and over and over again if you've already given them enough information to make a buying decision, or at least a clicking decision. Because if we're building off of our own website, and putting sales copy there, we're going to be linking to our Amazon page. So people who land on our website and read the copy on our website are going to get to the end of it, and then they're going to click through to Amazon and read what we've written there as well, or maybe skip directly to the buy button, one or the other. But I always try to think of things like this in the means of a funnel type approach, because here's the way I did SEO back in the 2000s, and at the time it seemed like the perfect thing to me, but I understand that people are going through a mental process in order to get where I want them to go. And maybe they're on my website and they're reading a sales page, and I want them to buy a product. That's the end goal. When they hit that buy button, they've done what I want them to do. But in order to get them to that sales page, I have to prime the pump a little bit. I have to get them into the right mindset a little bit. I have to set them up where they know that they're getting ready to click through and look at a sales page. And I have to create enough desire for them to want to click through to look at that sales page. So if we know the sales page is the final step in the process before somebody clicks buy, the page before that needs to be geared to get them to look at that sales page. It needs to be set up in such a way that there is a desire to read the sales page, so that when they finish reading the sales page, there's a desire to read the book or to buy the book. So what I would do would be step back 5 steps. And I would want to set up a deal where here's a sales page, here's a pre-sales page, there's a pre-pre-sales page, and pre-pre-pre-sales page. And all of them are designed to take you to the next step. So you read the first one in the sequence, and maybe it talks to you about journals, and then there's a link there at the bottom that says, hey, would you like to learn about more, are you more interested in prayer journals or weight loss journals? And then give them the choice, and they click through, and then they're looking at the prayer journals page, and then you're talking about how prayer journals help in your Christian experience. And I'd like you to click through and look at this publisher who has a lot of different prayer journals that might be useful to you. So they click through that, and then they're on your website, and they're looking at long copy for 10 different prayer journals. And then they get to the one they want, the one that looks the most attractive to them, and then they click through to Amazon and read about your specific prayer journal, and then reach up there and click that buy button. So that's what I kind of try to do. That's what I've always tried to do with my SEO. My SEO is not focused on just, it's important to be on page 1 of Google, but it's more important that people actually click that link. Being on page 1 of Google is pointless if nobody's clicking the link. And it's even more pointless if they do click the link and they abandon your page. So there's one guy that just drove me nuts. I worked for him for a short time. They fired me because I wasn't doing things his way. But he was a moron, so I don't care. But the thing was, I was doing ghostwriting at the time, and the guy paid me to build keyword-rich articles. Well, he wanted something like 30% keyword density on his main keyword, 15% on his second keyword, and 10% on his third keyword. Well, if you do the math, that's like a 55% keyword density on 3 words. So technically, out of every 6 words, 3 of them had to be his target keyword, which is stupid. Stupid. So I can talk about the blue widget is the best widget you can get, especially the blue widget, which is more important than the purple widget. See where I'm going with this? So if half of your words in your article are keywords, people are going to abandon the page because you sound like an idiot. So you don't want to sound like an idiot. You want to effectively move them to the next step in your process. So it doesn't matter if you get the keywords getting on the first page of Google. It's only important if you can get the click, and if once they click it, they take the next step. So you want them to go through a funnel. You want them to discover you, then get to your page, then decide what your offering is interesting. They want to go further, deeper down into the rabbit hole. Okay? And so that's what we need to do with our approach to books as well. We need to offer people several trips down the rabbit hole, and then take them deeper and deeper and deeper, and get them to that buy button. The buy button is the end goal. It's not. I don't care if 1,000 people hit my sales page. What I care is the 2 people who hit the buy button. If it's 2 in 1,000 or 2 in 100 or 2 in 10, it doesn't matter. I need those 2 people are what I'm looking for. Now, if I can get 2 in 10 over 2 in 1,000, I'm much happier, because the traffic I am able to get is 100 times more effective, right? So I have to, if I'm 100 times more effective, then I have to be right 1% of the time instead of 100% of the time, right? So it's kind of a math thing, but so the thing of it is, what we're doing with the solution-based journals is the training is going into talking about why people buy. And here it is. Why people buy is they have a problem, they need a solution, and they're hoping you can help them with their problem. And like with the long copy sales page, I demonstrated in the last video the anatomy of a sales page from my perspective, the way I use it. And the whole thing is geared on a problem solution. You have a problem, I have a solution. Let me show you how I can help you. Okay? And the same thing applies with doing these journals. So maybe it's you need to lose 100 pounds this summer. Well, there are steps that you're going to need to take to lose those 100 pounds. And it's going to include what you eat, the exercise you take, the quality of your health, and your commitment to getting achieving your goal. So there's 4 things that my journal must document that you must be able to fill in so that I can help you achieve your goal. So your goal is you're 100 pounds overweight and you want to drop that weight. Now the motivation for dropping that weight could be that you want to look good in a bikini. It could be that now you have health problems because you had that extra weight. Like a friend of mine, I never considered him really a big guy, but he was 300 pounds, 5'8" frame, and he was having a pain in the side, and he went to the doctor, and they ran a blood test sugar on him, and found he had like a 640 blood sugar. And when they saw the report, they're like, we got to rerun this test. They ended up rerunning the test a 3rd time before they gave him the diagnosis. And the diagnosis was, dude, your blood sugar's through the roof. You are diabetic. If you don't change your ways, you are going to die. And he changed his ways. And I saw him before he lost that weight. Devlin, come take this away from the dog. That thing that the dog's got. Take it away. That red thing. Thank you. Don't put it somewhere where she can't get to it.
That's my top.
I know it's your top. And if she swallows it, it can cut her throat. So in his case, he needed to lose the weight. And so he lost something like 220 pounds in 6 months. And he was very motivated because he didn't want to die. He had a youngster at home. He had a toddler at home. And so he actually dropped something like 80 pounds in the first 2 months just by changing his diet. But he didn't just change his diet. He changed his diet and then took up exercising. So at first, it was everything he could do to walk around the park one loop. And by the time I saw him 2 months after he started his diet, he was running 5 miles a day. So it's food and exercise and general health and motivation. And so he changed his food diet, and a journal can help him document that so he knows if he starts slipping and gaining weight again, he'll know what was he changed in his diet that resulted in him gaining more weight. And then he's also got the documentation there to tell me, hey, Bill, this is what kind of foods you need to eat if you want to lose weight without taking any pills, right? And then there's the exercise. He can document the exercises he's done, what he did, the progression he made through the entire process. The first day he walked a quarter mile. The second day he walked a quarter mile. A week later he's up to like almost half a mile. I'll tell you from personal experience, something like 6 years ago, I ran out of cigarettes and my car was broke down. And I didn't have anybody to come around for several more hours, so I decided to hoof it to the convenience store. Now, I quit smoking. I do vape now. I don't smoke anymore. But I huffed it down to the convenience store, and it was like a mile and a half one way. It took me 40 minutes to get there. And it about killed me. And then I still had to walk home. But I had to sit after the first 3/4 of a mile and rest, and then make the last trip down to the convenience store and get my cigarettes, and then start walking back home. And about halfway home, I had to rest again, and then I finally made it home. And it took me 2 hours to get a mile and a half down the road and a mile and a half home. It was horrible. Never want to do it again. But at the same time, I'm trying to take more exercise this year. I have quit smoking. I have started eating better. I need to lose some weight still. And I need to take up some exercise. But documenting that helps the process. And then the third step is your health. So in his case, he would document his blood sugar at each interval along the way. So day one, his blood sugar is 645. A week later, his blood sugar is 620 or whatever. But he actually cut it down because his blood sugar is actually normal 2 months after he started treatment for diabetes. The fourth step is the motivation. So motivation is not only what I need to do, but my reasons why for doing it. So his reasons why is his daughter's 2 years old and he wants to see her grow up. And his other motivation was he's married and he loved his wife. And he loved this and he loved that. And all these are different motivations for why he does what he does. But the journal side of it is that at certain points along the process, it's going to be difficult to do those things. And maybe today he's depressed, so he wants to write about that depression he's feeling right now so that he can put that behind him and start focusing on the positive tomorrow. So all these things need to be written down in the journal. Well, so for this example, I actually shot the video in the main Book a Day group about the Beach to Well journal, which is what that health journal is based on. So the whole thing is that people have needs. They have a problem. They are looking for somebody who has a solution. And the better job you do at outlining the solution, and you don't have, and that's what's beautiful about journals, you don't have to be really extravagant about it, because the Beach to Well journal only has 4 elements to it. It's got a directions page at the beginning of it, and then each page has what I shoved in my mouth, what exercises I did, my current health situation, and my motivation to keep doing what I'm doing. Okay? And then each page of the journal is focused on that. So the first page, the directions page, told them, this is what you're going to be doing, this is what you want to write down, this is why you want to write it down, and this is how you use this journal. And then the rest of it is follow my instructions. So at the top of the page I say, what did I eat today? And I've got lines for it. Then I say, what exercise did I do today? And I got lines for it. And what is my overall health situation today? And I got a line for it. And then what's my motivation? I got a whole page for it. And then you flip the page and you do a new day. Okay? So it's a matter of putting ourselves out there in front of our customers who have problems. People with problems need solutions. If you do a good job demoing to them that you can help them solve their problem, then you become an attractive bookseller for them. And here's the thing. It's something I referred to a few minutes ago about you don't want to just blast your listing over on Facebook to a bunch of groups that don't pay attention to nothing. You want to interact with your readers. You want to have your readers interact with your content. And so this is what's important about the problem solution thing. So one person buys your book and they go through it and they're like, man, this is really cool. And the more cool it is, the cool. That would be Doctor Who, Matt Smith. It's cool like a bow tie. So the more cool it is, the more willing and interested they are at sharing it with their friends. So they buy your Beach 12 journal, or they buy your diabetic journal, and they use it, and then they realize, hey, this is actually helping me. And then when they have a moment of reward where somebody notices, hey, Judy, I noticed you dropped. Are you losing weight? Yeah, I dropped 10 pounds in the last 30 days. And then the other person's going to be like, well, how were you able to accomplish that? Well, my journal here. My journal. I got this journal. And it's for diabetics or weight loss or whatever. It's called the Beach 12 Journal. And every day I just record my progress in my book. I just record the progress. And I'm dropping the weight. And it's been helping me. So now there's two cheerleaders for your product. One who's used it and one who's witnessed firsthand the success that somebody else was able to achieve with it. So then maybe later somebody says, I need to drop 20 pounds this summer because I'm just too fat for my bikini. Hey, you might check out that book my friend bought. It's called the Beach 12 Journal. You might find it'll help you out because it did help her out. And that's what's important, is it did help her. And then people will go buy it. And so that's where the interaction comes with your content. It's not direct interaction with you, but it's interaction with your content. Because one person has appreciated what you did for them because you did help them solve a problem. And when somebody gave them the opportunity to brag about having solved that problem, they share the good news of your book with them. And then down the road, somebody says, well, I'd like to achieve the same solution myself. What do you recommend? Well, Bill has written the Beach 12 Journal. It's a really good book. A friend of mine used it, and she lost a lot of weight, and I think it would do the same thing for you. So this is what we're getting at with the problem solution journals. And the actual training is I think it's going to be called the solution-based journal. But this is what I'm talking about overall. Everything down the road, that's what the main training is it's the solution-based journal. And this is what I'm talking about within that journal, or within that training. So, whatever it is, whether it's your prayer life, or your health, or your exercise journal, or any of a number of variations, whatever journal you create, as long as you focus on problem solution, and then telling people, when you do your sales copy, and here's the thing, some people don't like the pain, inflicting the pain at the beginning of copy. And somebody paid me to help them write their sales copy for a particular product. And it's a good product, and I like the product, and his initial sales copy just wasn't doing it, people weren't buying the product. So he hired me to help him fix the sales copy. And he did not want to do the pain thing. He did not think that was appropriate because it's just against his programming to do that. He didn't feel it was appropriate to remind people the pain they already experience. So we got around that. And here's what we did. We focused on his pain. We put, instead of real time, this is the pain you're experiencing right now, we reverse it around and says, this is the pain I had 10 years ago. And then we made people feel the pain through empathy with the author. And that particular product did $48,000 in gross sales in just 2 weeks. Okay? So, whether you directly address the reader's pain or you utilize the author's pain, that pain threshold is important to any problem solution based copy. Okay? And whether you're doing it in 400 words, 800 words, 1,000 or 4,000 words, it doesn't matter. What you need is just enough copy there to get them to take the action you want them to take, which is to buy your journal. Okay? So, if you have any questions, just drop it down in the comments below and I'll be happy to answer them for you. But I hope this has been helpful for you. We're right at 31 minutes on this video. So all told, I've got about an hour and a half in this sequence. And I hope you found it useful. So until next time, I'm Bill Platt.